And the three of you guys, you pull one thing, you're out of this game. Now I run a clean game here. I have any trouble, I'll suspend you. I'm listening to a fucking song!
N3 Radio in the mix.
This episode of Don't Tread on Me is sponsored by Perky's Paperbacks. Check them out.
Get your popcorn and cotton candy because the impeachment circus is continuing in Washington, D.C., and they're living in their own bubble because they just have no idea what is coming. Well, they actually do know what is coming. A landslide by President Trump, as long as all of you get out there and vote. What a long opening monologue. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Don't Tread on Me. I'm your co-host, Beachball29. And I see what the Democrats are doing, and you need to see it too. They're counting on you. They already think you're stupid for voting Donald Trump in. Now they think that you won't have any patience. They're going to keep this impeachment cloud over the president's head all the way up until the election because that is the only hope that they have. You are their only hope. They're hoping and banking that you will get tired of all of this bad press, all this negativity surrounding President Trump. I find it ironic how it's only Republican presidents that have to go through this with the media. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is the Democrats are banking on you getting tired of hearing all this stuff about President Trump, and then you'll vote somebody in more to their liking, more closer to Democrat and Republican elitist globalists looking to make sure that their pocket is padded, that their ivory tower is free from us plebeians, us peasants. We can't have, the peasants walking around our ivory towers, can we? Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is they're banking on you to get tired of this, so you vote some schlub in that will rubber stamp everything that they want, including taking your guns and allowing illegal immigrants to come in without any reprisals or consequences of the law and the facts. Anyway, impeachment hearings are boring. Nobody cares. I'm a political person, and I don't care. I can't imagine what a non-political person thinks of these things. But I am seeing it throughout social media, especially independents, people that have never been political before. My wife is even thinking of voting for Donald Trump, and she hates the guy, but she hates more what's going on with the man. The Democrats are the sorest losers on the face of the earth. Don't give me that whole thing about Republicans making everything hard for Obama. That's their job. They're the opposition party. The only thing they obstructed, and I'll fully admit it, was Judge Merrick. But I'm glad of the results, because Judge Merrick was a gun grabber and a liberal elitist who rubber-stamped anything for the Democrat Party and those who hate freedom. We are entering a new era in politics. It's no longer left or right, up or down. We have one party that represents freedom and one party that represents authoritarianism. Democrats want to control you from the cradle to the grave. They want to control what you think, how you think, what you say, what you do. They want to give you a job that they think you're qualified for. And they certainly don't think you're qualified to carry a gun. And they certainly don't think you're qualified to vote. I think that's evidenced by Nancy Pelosi, her recent statement when she says, we cannot allow the election to decide the next president. What you're basically saying is that the American people are too dumb. They were dumb enough to elect Donald Trump, and we have to come in and save America from itself. Please. Every single one of these traitors should be dragged out into the street and shot. And if you want to report me for that, go ahead. That is my feeling about it. I'm not going to do it. I eschew violence. I don't agree with violence. But I do agree that if every single one of these Democrats are drawn and quartered, the country would be a lot better place. But that's a sociopathic way of thinking that your way or no way. In a free society, there always has to be an opposition that is always uncomfortable. And we have to live with that. Violence is not the answer unless violence is taken against us. From time to time, the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of tyrants. And right now, Pelosi, Schumer, Pencilneck Schiff, Eric Fartwell, and all the others are basically saying, we don't like the election, we're going to do everything to stop it, and we're going to even sacrifice the good of the country just so our party can stay in power. I believe George Washington warned us against political parties, but we didn't do much listening, would we? Speaking of George Washington, I'm sure the Democrats would have found a reason to impeach him, or Thomas Jefferson, or Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus for people living in Baltimore. He threw the mayor and a couple of council members in jail without trial. Supreme Court said you went over your authority. He just ignored them. Every reason to impeach him, and they probably would have if they had the chance. People think impeachment's some like regular thing that happens with the presidency. It's happened 4 times in our country. Once to Andrew Johnson, impeached in the House, acquitted in the Senate. Richard Nixon, impeached in the House, resigned before it got to the Senate. Bill Clinton, impeached in the House, acquitted in the Senate. And now this. They haven't held an impeachment vote. They're just holding these hearings trying to show the American people that we're trying. The Democrat base, the Democrat progressive crazy base, that we're trying to impeach you. And we've got the press, we've got the Hollywood, we've got media, we've got TV on our side. It's damn Fox News and radio and talk radio and stupid, uneducated people that are supporting this president. I'm so sorry if the economy is doing so well that I want to give this guy another 4 years. Yes, the guy is boorish. Yes, the guy is crude. But he loves this country. Maybe he loves it for the wrong reason. Maybe he loves this country. He's just trying to make this country great so he could say, look what I did. But if the result is prosperity and peace for us, then I'm all for it. I'm sorry. Democrats want to raise your taxes to provide you with half-hearted services. Do you really think the government can solve everything? That's the question before you. No, it cannot. As far as I'm concerned, the government should be doing a few things. Delivering the mail, maintaining the infrastructure, and defending the country. Anything else is hippie commie bullshit. Ugh. But we've got some videos to get into. I'm sorry to take so long in the opening monologue. I want to try and get more of my voice out there because this is D-Tom, Don't Tread on Me, a talk show. I'd love to get more people in, like Trooper Sam and Mad Dog back, and they will be back. And we will talk about it. I'd like to get even opposing views, but nobody will debate. They recently held a debate on climate change. Nobody from the climate change pro crowd showed up because they think it's settled. Science says it. And if you don't believe it, then you're a horrible person. You notice that? Every single political argument that Democrats bring up is not about the substance of what is being talked about, but the fact that is you are a horrible person for opposing it. They have no facts on their side, so they must attack the character. Typical Saul Alinsky tactic. You can't win with the facts, so you got to attack their character. And you know I'm speaking the truth. Not facts. Truth. There's a difference. I'd like to listen to some of what's going on in the impeachment hearings. I got a representative from my home state of Ohio, Representative Jordan, talking with Sondland today and Ambassador Volker yesterday, going through some of the highlights, quote-unquote, of the impeachment hearings. Also, I want to get to Tim Pool, talking about Democrats are losing the debate. I think the independent vote against, or the independent's viewpoint of the impeachment hearings has dropped 10% in this week alone. So they just lost 10% of their supporters. And of course, we got David Harris Jr. talking about the hearings. He's also going to give us an update on the Epstein killings, where we had the 2 guards that were guarding him being charged. Basically, the pawns laying all on their feet. We have a problem in this country. We've got rich, elite people who don't care about America, don't care about the country, don't care anything about themselves, power, and money. That goes for both sides. There should be a movement by the people to limit the amount of time a senator or representative can serve. Term limits is the only question, because we've got too many people getting into office, and once they get into office, they're not worried about legislation, they're not worried about making the country better, they're not worried about anything but themselves and getting reelected so they can make that money. Money, 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 money. When money became the primary factor in governing, in schools, in healthcare, in anything, it became a problem. Capitalism is not the problem. It's greed. Greed is the problem. Greed is what brought down Soviet Russia. And greed will bring down this country. The individual must stand up and say what is right, no matter the cost. Oh, geez. So anyway, let's get to Representative Jordan talking with Sondland today and Ambassador Volker tomorrow. No quid pro quo. They had Pelosi knew it wasn't working, so you had to change it to bribery. That's not working. They've tried everything. Russia, Stormy Daniels, taxes, you're a racist, Charlottesville, Ukraine Gate. It's going to go on. Something that Chick-fil-A doesn't understand when they got rid of the Salvation Army and Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They think they cater to the left, that they'll be satisfied. No, they want, if you give them an inch, they'll take a foot. Any more than that, you won't have a leg to stand on. Here's Representative Jordan with some of the highlights. Got Tim Pool talking about Democrats losing the impeachment debate, and David Harris Jr. giving us an update on the hearings and a little update on the Epstein killing. This will take a little bit over an hour, so keep it tuned right here to N3 Radio. More coming up. We're going to talk Star Wars, Charlie's Angels, and SJWs melting down over everything that's going on with The Mandalorian and other stuff in the entertainment world. Coming up next, keep it tuned right here to N3 Radio because you're listening to Don't Tread on Me with your co-host, Beachball29. Stay tuned.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Ambassador, when did it happen?
When did what happen?
The announcement. When did President Zelensky announce that the investigation was going to happen? On page 14, you said this: was there a quid pro quo? Today's your opening statement. As I testified previously, with regard to a requested White House call, White House meeting, the answer is yes, that there needed to be a public statement from President Zelensky. When the chairman asked you about the security assistance dollars, you said there needed to be a public announcement from Zelensky. So I'm asking you a simple question. When did that happen?
Never did.
Never did. They got the call July 25th. They got the meeting, not in the White House, but in New York on September 25th. They got the money on September 11th. When did the meeting happen again?
Never did.
You don't know who was in the meeting?
Which meeting are you referring to?
The meeting that never happened. Who was in it? You know how you know how Zelensky announced it? Did he tweet it? Did he do a press statement? Did he do a press conference? You know how that happened? I mean, you got all three of them wrong. They get the call, they get the meeting, they get the money. It's not 2 + 2, it's 0 for 3. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. And you told Mr. Castor that the president never told you that the announcement had to happen to get anything. In fact, he didn't just not tell you that, he explicitly said the opposite. The gentleman from Texas just read it. You said to the President of the United States, what do you want from Ukraine? The President, I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. I want Zelensky to do the right thing. I want him to do what he ran on. What did he run on, Ambassador Sondland?
Transparency.
And dealing with corruption, right?
That's right.
Mr. Castor raised another important point. Why didn't you put that statement in your opening statement? I think you said you couldn't fit it in. Is that right? Said we might be here for 46 minutes instead of 45 minutes.
It wasn't purposeful, trust me.
Wasn't purposeful?
No.
Couldn't fit it in a 23-page opener. The most important statement about the subject matter at hand, the President of the United States in a direct conversation with you about the issue at hand, and the President says, let me read it one more time. What do you want from Ukraine, Mr. President? I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. I want this new guy, brand new guy in politics. His party just took over. I want Zelensky to do the right thing. I want him to run on and do what he ran on, which is deal with corruption. And you can't find time to fit that in a 23-page opening statement. You know what a quid pro quo is?
I do.
This for that, right? Looks to me like Ukraine got that 3 times, and there was no this. We didn't do anything. Or excuse me, they didn't have to do anything. I've never seen anything like that. And this is when the call came out. Y'all remember this? When the call came out, everyone said, we're going to quid pro quo. There's going to be that was what was in the call. And of course, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Remember what the complaint said? Remember what the memo said of the whistleblower? This call was frightening. This call was scary. All those things. None of that materialized. None of that materialized. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a statement from Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney.
Without objection, we haven't seen all these statements, but I presume they are accurate and no objection.
Thank you. Ambassador, President Trump's not a big fan of foreign aid. Is that right?
I don't know if that's a fair characterization. I think he's careful.
He's expressed concerns about foreign aid going to certain countries. Okay, fair enough. And he knew Ukraine was corrupt. Is that right?
He believed Ukraine was corrupt.
Yeah, and he wanted Europe to do more?
Definitely.
Definitely wanted Europe to do more. And the president had a belief that Ukrainian government officials, some senior Ukrainian government officials, supported his opponent in 2016. I won't go into all the details, but I think of the one member of parliament who said the majority of Ukrainian politicians want Hillary Clinton to win. So he had that belief as well. And obviously he understood what was happening. We got a brand new guy in Ukraine. The Zelensky guy wins, right?
Right.
And his party takes over, and President Trump wants to see, with all these other things that are of concern to him, he wants to see if this new guy is actually, as I like to say, the real deal, a real reformer, and actually going to deal with the corruption problem. So aid gets held up for 55 days. Gets held up on July 18th, and then is released on September 11th. But it seems to me more important than the 55-day pause is the 14 days. When Ukraine realized aid was held up on the 29th, we've now had you testify to that. The two witnesses yesterday testified that, the Politico article. So aid gets held up on Ukraine learns aid is held on August 29th, and then, of course, released on September 11th. In those 14 days, there are three important meetings with senior government officials and President Zelensky. There's the August 29th meeting between Ambassador Bolton and President Zelensky. There's the meeting September 1st that you're a part of. Vice President Pence meets with President Zelensky. And then there's the meeting on September 5th where U.S. Senators Murphy and Johnson meet with President Zelensky. None of those meetings did any linkage to security assistance dollars and an announcement or start of any investigation ever come up. None of them. But it seems to me the one that's the most important is probably the one we've talked least about, and that's the September 5th meeting. Because that's actually a meeting where there is no one, well, it's much more congressional focused than White House focused. This is the meeting where Senators Murphy and Johnson, bipartisan, meet with President Zelensky. And what's interesting is what both senators in the last 2 days have given us letters recounting what happened in that meeting. Senator Murphy said, I broached the topic of pressure on Zelensky from Rudy Giuliani and the president's other emissaries to launch investigations into Trump's political rival. Murphy brought it up. You got two senators who both strong supporters of money going to Ukraine. These guys are all for it. And Senator Murphy, the Democrat, even brings up the issue everyone's been talking about. It seems to me if ever there was going to be a time where the president of Ukraine says, guys, you don't know what I'm dealing with. I'm getting pressure from the president of the United States. He wants me to do this. I got to make it. It seems if ever there was a time that the president of Ukraine, the new guy, who now knows the aid has been on hold, if ever there was a time to bring it up, that would have been the time. But guess what? At no time, Senator Johnson tells us, at no time during this meeting or on any other meeting on this trip was there any mention by Zelensky or any other Ukrainian that they were feeling pressure to do anything in return for military aid. Not even, Senator Johnson says, not even after Murphy warned them about getting involved in the election. So Murphy gave this big deal on Giuliani and nothing. And guess what Murphy also said? I do not dispute any of Senator Johnson's factual representations regarding the meeting. If ever it was going to happen, September 5th was the day. No one from the White House there, not Ambassador Bolton, not Vice President, no one there. But even then it didn't happen. And we got all kinds of other meetings when it didn't happen. And of course, as you testified earlier, there was never an announcement. You said there were 3 quid pro quos, but there weren't, because there was never an announcement. I mean, this is as clear as it gets, but these guys want to keep stirring it up based on no direct evidence whatsoever. And the best direct evidence we have is actually what the president told you. I want nothing. There is no quid pro quo. I want Zelensky to do exactly what he campaigned on. And when that became clear to us, guess what? They got the money. They got the money. God bless America. It all worked out, right? This is crazy what we're going through because the facts are so darn clear. I yield back. I thank the gentleman. Ambassador Volker, you were the special representative to Ukraine. Is that right?
That is correct.
And prior to that, in your diplomatic service, you worked at the NSC. You were Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. You were Ambassador to NATO. Senate confirmed Ambassador to NATO in your distinguished diplomatic career. So it may not bother you when you're referred to as the irregular channel, but it bothers Representative Turner. It bothers me. You were the special envoy to Ukraine. And in that role, you said in your opening statement, you were the administration's most outspoken public figure highlighting Russia's invasion and occupation of Ukraine and calling out Russia's responsibility in the war. Is that right?
That is correct.
And in that capacity, you strongly advocated for lifting the ban on sale of lethal defensive arms to Ukraine. Is that right?
That is correct.
And President Trump did it, didn't he?
That is correct.
But in spite of that, President Trump was still skeptical of giving hard-earned tax dollars to Ukraine, right?
Yes.
You said that in your testimony as well. And the reason he's skeptical is, let's be honest, the guy doesn't like foreign aid, right?
That's one reason, and then Ukraine's history of corruption is another.
One of the third most corrupt countries on the planet. And Europe isn't doing enough. And, oh, by the way, in the president's mind, he did think Ukraine was trying to influence the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Because things happened. The Democrats want to deny it, but when the ambassador from Ukraine here to the United States writes an op-ed on August 4th, 2016, criticizing then-candidate Trump, that's certainly trying to influence the election. When Mr. Avakov, a key minister in their government, says all kinds of negative things about candidate Trump, that certainly looks like it's trying to influence the election. And when Mr. Lyshenko states in the Financial Times during the campaign the majority of Ukrainian political figures want Hillary Clinton to win, that probably sticks in a candidate's mind. I know we all run campaigns. When people say bad things about us in the course of the campaign, we don't necessarily think great things about them. But you were convinced Zelensky was the real deal, right?
That is correct.
Because you spent a lot of time with the guy. And guess what? When aid was frozen, you knew if you could get these two guys together, it'd work out. When aid was frozen, what did you say? You told the Ukrainians, don't worry about it. Well, you didn't say it. You said, don't be alarmed.
Yeah.
Right?
That is correct.
And guess what happened? By the time when aid's frozen and when it's released, all kinds of interactions between President Zelensky and senior U.S. officials. Right? Starts with the call. Starts with the call with President Trump and President Zelensky. Next day, you meet with President Zelensky in Ukraine. Then we have Ambassador Bolton meeting with him. Then we have Vice President Pence meeting with him. Then we have U.S. Senators Johnson and Murphy meeting with him. And guess what? In none of those meetings, not a single one, did security assistance dollars in exchange for an investigation, not once did they come up. Did that conversation come up? Is that right?
That is correct.
Not once. No discussion of aid for investigations, and, as you testified, you never believed aid for investigations was ever being talked about either in any of these conversations.
That is correct.
But what happened in those meetings? They all became convinced of the same thing you knew. They all saw the same darn thing. This guy was the real deal. He is a legitimate reformer. And they all came back and told the president, hey, Mr. President, this guy's real. Go ahead and release the dollars. Oh, by the way, in that same time frame, you know what else happened? Their parliament, their newly elected parliament, as Mr. Morrison testified to, stayed up all night to pass the reform measures, to get rid of the prosecutor, to put in the Supreme High Anti-Corruption Court, to get rid of this ability that no one in their Congress and their parliament could ever be hit with a crime. I mean, that's unbelievable. All that happens, and they come back and tell President Trump, hey, guess what? Time to release the dollars. And he did it, right?
The dollars were released.
Yeah, you did your job. You did your job. And you got to put up with all this because the Democrats are out to get this president. You did your job just the way Mr. Turner described. You did your job over all these years. All these years, and the Democrats put you through this. You have served our country well. The kind of diplomat we want serving. And here's the saddest, one of the saddest things about all this, that what the Democrats are putting us through. You two guys who are here telling it straight, you've both decided you're going to step out of government because of what these guys are doing. And that's the sad thing. People like Ambassador Volker and Tim Morrison, who have served our country so well, are now stepping out of our government because of what these guys are doing. And that's why Mr. Turner got so fired up a few minutes ago, why I'm so fired up too, because we appreciate what you guys did. I yield back. Sunday, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives called the President of the United States an imposter. Speaker of the House called the President an imposter. The guy 63 million people voted for, the guy who won an electoral college landslide, the Speaker calls an imposter. That's what's happened to our country, to this Congress. The Speaker's statement says it all. The Democrats have never accepted the will of the American people. Democrats don't trust the American people. The American people who wanted to send someone to this town who was willing to shake it up a bit, they don't trust that. And they have tried to do everything they can to undo what the American people decided on November 8th, 2016. They've been out to get the president since the day he was elected. The whistleblower's lawyer, the whistleblower's legal team said this, January 30th, 2017, president been in office about a week. Coup has started. First of many steps. Next sentence, impeachment will follow ultimately. I guess we're in the final step. Started 3.5 years ago. Congressman Tlaib started this Congress. First day of Congress said, impeach the president. Representative Green said, if we don't impeach him, the president's going to win re-election. We got to do it. Most importantly, 5 Democrat members of the committee voted to move forward with impeachment before the phone call ever happened. The truth is, the attacks actually started before the inauguration, even before the election. The ranking member talked about this in his opening statement. July 2016, FBI opens an investigation, so-called Trump-Russia coordination, collusion, which was never there. Opened an investigation, spied on 2 American citizens associated with the presidential campaign. My guess is that's probably never happened in American history, but they did it. And for 10 months, Jim Comey's FBI investigated the president. Guess what? After 10 months, they had nothing. And you know why we know that? Because when we deposed Mr. Comey last Congress, he told us they didn't have a thing. No matter. Special Counsel Mueller gets appointed, and they do a 2-year, $40 million, 19-lawyer, unbelievable investigation. And guess what? They come back, and they got nothing. But the Democrats don't care. So now we get this. Bunch of depositions in the bunker in the basement of the Capitol. Witnesses who aren't allowed to answer questions about who they talked to about the phone call. We get this. All based on some anonymous whistleblower, no firsthand knowledge, bias against the president. These facts have never changed. We learned these right away. Who worked with Vice President Biden, who wrote a memo the day after somebody talked to him about the call, but waited 18 days to file a complaint. 18 days to file a complaint. What did he do in those 18 days? We all know. Ran off and talked with chairmanship staff. And then hired the legal team that I just talked about. One of the steps in the whole impeachment coup, as his legal team has said. This is scary what these guys are putting our country through. It is sad, it is scary, it is wrong. And the good news is the American people see through it all. They know the facts are on the president's side. As Representative Stefanik said, 4 facts will never change. We got the transcript, which they never thought the president would release. Shows no coordination, no conditionality, no linkage. We got the 2 guys on the call, President Trump, President Zelensky, who have said nothing wrong, no pressure, no pushing here. We got the fact the Ukrainians didn't even know aid was held up at the time of the call. And most importantly, we have yet to have one witness tell us that any evidence from anyone that President Zelensky did anything on investigations to get the aid released. Those facts will never change. The facts are on the president's side. The process is certainly not. It has been the most unfair process we have ever seen, and the American people understand it. Those 63 million Americans, they understand it, and frankly, I think a lot of others do as well. They see what this for what it is, and they know this is wrong, especially wrong, just 11 months before the next election. I yield back.
Today, Gordon Sondland is testifying before Congress in the ongoing impeachment inquiry, and I'll tell you what, I really don't care. It is the same thing over and over and over again, the same points, maybe the same people, and nothing's really advancing. It's a political fight. However, interestingly, Gordon Sondland does appear to have flipped, now claiming quid pro quo and trying to seemingly protect himself while he plays this game of, yeah, maybe there was something going on. The problem is, the testimony yesterday from Morrison and Volker kind of contradicts all of this. So I'll tell you what. If you go to the staunchest of Trump supporters, they will say nothing here, nothing to see here. And I think to a certain degree, that's fair. The Democrats are going to claim, oh, there's proof, it's proof. Listen, at the end of the day, it's a political fight. It doesn't matter what's true. The only fact we know is Trump asked for an investigation. Everyone seems to agree on that. Trump released the transcript. Now, did he do it to dig up dirt in Biden? Don't really see evidence for that. Did he do it to weed out corruption? Honestly, don't see a whole lot of evidence of that either. The fact remains, it is mostly just an opinion fight. Which brings me to today's video. It is dragging the Democrats down. It was a terrible strategy, and I think the only reason they did it is because they desperately need to shore up their base. The latest poll from Politico and the Morning Consult shows that opposition by independents to the impeachment inquiry has jumped 10 points, and overall, support has dropped 2 points, general opposition is up 3 points, and most people, by a small degree, believe the Democrats are mishandling what's going on. Here's what I want to do today. Let me take you through some of this data, and we'll talk about why ultimately I think this is a shot in the foot for Democrats. This is bad for them. But I really don't see any other strategy they could implement, right? So it does make sense. But I'll tell you what, I'm tired of it. I really don't care, and I am begrudgingly talking about it today. We'll see what happens going forward if I continue to care about it. Because I'll tell you what, no one else cares about it. The ratings are continuing to drop, down more than 1 million from its first day, and that was last week. I can only imagine nobody cares about this, and I will tell you what, yesterday was a 12-hour hearing. Man, and you know what, I listened to all of it. Please, pray for me. I listened to all of it, and I'm still listening to it now. So let's not talk too much about the nitty-gritty waste of time where the same thing said over and over again, and talk about how this will impact 2020. We'll get started with the Hill. But before we do, as per usual, head over to timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. Listen, I listened to 12 hours of testimony yesterday. I listened to last week, and let me assure you, there's nothing here. If you respect and support me sitting here with this insanity, then timcast.com/donate, or just share this video. If for some reason you're still tuned in to what's going on with impeachment, I respect you and I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. And you can help me out by sharing this video. But I'll admit it. I mean, look, I'm talking about impeachment because I think it is important, but it is mind-numbing. And even my views are down. My views on my second channel where I talk about culture stuff, doing great. Mainstream, big breaking news, oof, not so much. But I do think it's important. However, I will concede, I think I'm probably going to just drop it. Let me tell you something, okay? I am one of these independents. My opposition has also jumped. And I think we're at a point now where they have cried wolf incessantly nonstop. And I can't tell you what the point of this is anymore. You've got several people saying, you know, they wanted to hear about the investigations because it just proved that Ukraine was turning a new leaf and not going to be corrupt. And even Sondland, who has apparently flipped on Trump, is saying essentially that, but trying to make it seem like, no, that's a quid pro quo. There's just nothing. So let's talk about what happens. People like me, and probably people like you, are saying enough. Now, I know Trump supporters are mad it happened in the first place, but I'll tell you what, man. First of all, look at this. Opposition by independents to the House's ongoing impeachment inquiry jumped 10 percentage points in the last week. This mirrors what we saw from the Hill-Harris X on the 7th. Before the initial public hearing, the same thing happened, now being reflected. This is from the 17th, the 15th to the 17th. After the initial hearings, people watched it and said, whoa, enough. And the Democrats are mishandling this. They say the poll showed 47% of independents opposed the inquiry, compared to 37% last week. Meanwhile, support for the inquiry by independents fell 7 points to 40%. So there's a difference here. The independent voters who are supporting this have dropped off. But the independent voters who are opposing it has jumped a lot. Either way, it's bad news across the board for Democrats because you need to win the middle. I can say it a million times. But people in the middle have a choice between left and right. People on the far left and the far right can only choose that one direction, the Democrats or the Republicans. So as the Democrats lose moderates, the Republicans open up the door to gaining those votes. It is a huge blunder. Support for the inquiry among all respondents fell 2 points to 48%, while opposition rose to 3 points to 45%. So this is an important point. There is still more support than opposition. That's very important and could be bad for Trump. But many of these people will not vote. So what Democrats need to do is they need to make sure that those who do support the inquiry are willing to vote. Sorry, I doubt you can. They say the latest polls comes as the House launched a second week of public testimony with Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman and Jennifer Williams, an aide to Vice President Pence, appearing in the morning. The poll showed that 48% of respondents support the House impeaching President Trump, compared to 44% who oppose it, while 47% backed the Senate removing the president from office. That's huge, but it'll never happen. There's a lot going on here. So check it out. Not only that, but the ratings are down. And this is the more important thing, because what Democrats are playing here is an attempt to generate negative press. It's actually been reported that one of their strategies is to saturate the market with videos that, with content, with news segments that make the president look bad. Right now, we have CNN and MSNBC playing all of these silly games where they're saying, here's the new tagline, game over, game over. All they're saying, first it was the walls are closing in, the beginning of the end, bombshell, and now game over. That's what they're saying. Sorry. Just because you have one person today saying quid pro quo doesn't prove anything. Quid pro quo is not impeachable. Joe Biden did a quid pro quo. Joe Biden said, if you want this military aid, you got to fire the prosecutor. The question is, was it done for legitimate reasons? So far, everyone, including Sondland, who has flipped on Trump, has agreed Trump was concerned about corruption. So this brings me to another little segment here, a part of this poll. Based on what you know, do you approve or disapprove of the way House Democrats are handling the current impeachment inquiry into President Trump? And just by a couple points between somewhat and strongly, I believe it's by about 3 or 4, they disapprove of the way that Democrats are handling this. So I'll tell you what, Trump is right. In the wake of this news, Donald Trump came out and said it will never work. Confident Donald Trump blasts impeachment hearings as polls show independent voters are souring on Democrat-led takedown of the GOP. Trump returns to slash and burn tweeting about impeachment hearings. He predicts the process will backfire on Democrats. New poll shows 47% of independent voters oppose it, up 10 points from just a week ago. This is the second poll showing these results. President blasts Nancy Pelosi as ineffective and controlled by socialist congresswomen intent on removing him from office. Now, why would they launch the impeachment inquiry? There are several different reasons. I've talked about the negative press attempts. There's also AOC saying it unites the party, that they're fractured, and that's a fact. There are multiple different Democrats. There was this really interesting data that was recently published showing what the different parties would be in this country if people could vote on core issues, and there were 5. There were 2 conservative parties, a nationalist and a traditional party. There was a social justice party that was just social justice. There was a Labor Party and a Socialist Party. So these are the different factions, apparently. But you can see that among Republicans, traditional issues as well as nationalist issues overlap swimmingly. I'll tell you, if you go to a Trump supporter whose number one priority is border security, they'll probably tell you they're traditional in many ways too. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But when you look at the socialists, the labor, and the social justice, they do not overlap. They are feuding. Labor tends to represent like Barack Obama. So in the end, they are fractured, right? That's the main point. We'll take that. We'll make that the main takeaway. Here's an important bit of data from just I believe it's from yesterday. NPR, a poll shows Americans overwhelmingly say impeachment hearings won't change their minds. This is an NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll. They say 65% of Americans say they can't imagine any information or circumstances during the impeachment inquiry where they might change their minds about their position on impeachment. 30% say yes, it's possible. Here's the very, very important point. First, nobody cares. Ratings are down. I don't even want to be talking about it. I am tired of this dominating the news. I did a long segment this morning on Hong Kong and China because it's very, very important. And I might switch and just cover that from now on because this is nonsense. Okay. And we all know it. It's the same thing being repeated, the same thing we've heard a million times. It's boring and it's not doing anything for anybody. Check this out. Democrats, 25% might change their mind. Republicans, 24% might change their mind. And among independents, 39% might change their mind. They say, can you imagine any information or circumstances during the impeachment inquiry where you might change your mind? 39% of independents said yes. And they did change their mind to now opposing the impeachment inquiry. Congratulations. You actually had independents in support of the removal of the president, and the strategy by Democrats has resulted in them opposing it. So when I show you that poll saying most people by a small percentage point believe the Democrats are mishandling it, the proof is in the pudding. You've lost the moderates. You are helping Donald Trump. I can only imagine that their game plan is, of those who are Democrats and who won't have their mind changed, they're hoping that group will be brought to the polls. They're hoping that with enough negative press, they will shock these people into getting out the vote. They're betting on massive voter turnout. Now, the other day, I want to go through just a little bit of what we saw, and we'll start with this tweet here. Alana Abramson covers Congress for Time, said Schiff seems to be getting angry right now. This is at 8:27 p.m. last night. He's remained very calm throughout the hearings, as was expected, but can detect the slightest hint of annoyance. You know why I think he was annoyed? Because yesterday we saw the testimony of Morrison and Volker, who essentially defended the president. I mean, I'll tell you what, for those that are interested in what's going on because you tune things out, what we have so far, based on even Sondland, as of testifying right now, and there's a lot to still happen, but it sounds like the big complaint is that Donald Trump believed conspiracy theories, that Volker said the stories were fake, and we were trying to convince the president Ukraine turned a new leaf. You can't impeach the president for being a moron. You can't impeach the president for believing conspiracy theories. The fact is, the president has a right to set policy, and if he says, I believe they're corrupt, well, too bad. Apparently, what they're hoping is that through Rudy Giuliani, they could convince Trump that Ukraine has turned a new leaf. And what they're talking about now with quid pro quo, yes, there was quid pro quo, that Donald Trump wasn't convinced Ukraine turned a new leaf, and that although he didn't want anything from them specifically, he felt that if they didn't believe, if they didn't want to announce they were going to be investigating corruption, he didn't believe they were serious. All of this is predicated on the assumption that either Trump wanted dirt on Biden, which is a stretch and there's no evidence to prove that, that's intent, or Trump wanted to investigate corruption. And the best I can come up with is that the fact is Trump wanted an investigation. That's it. Everything else, throw it out. Can you impeach and convict on that? In my opinion, no, but it is a political fight, and there is a lot of support, 47% for removing the president. I believe, based on the evidence, what we're looking at is Donald Trump probably believed fake news or exaggerated claims. He was getting it secondhand through getting a telephone with Giuliani, and that's still whatever, man. That's not illegal. And if Trump felt that there was corruption and said, listen, here's what it comes down to. If Ukraine is actually serious about weeding out corruption, won't they announce it? Won't they say, hey, we're doing this? Won't they go out and tell people? Because I'll tell you what, money, you got to walk the walk. Money talks, BS walks. If they're not willing to tell the world we are going to do this, why would I believe they will? That's the essential argument we've gotten so far from impeachment. So I'll tell you why most people probably disapprove of Democrats. Because the Democrats who hate Trump are probably going, no, stop. You're making him look right, having these people testify. But I will assure you, the woke Twitterati and journalists, for some reason, keep putting out misinformation, saying game over, bombshell, and I'm just shocked by it. Listen, man, there's no proof Trump wanted to weed out corruption. And I don't care. There's no proof he wanted dirt on Biden either. And I don't care. In the end, we have nothing. Okay? You want to claim Trump is this great hero sent to fight corruption in Ukraine? I don't believe you. I really just don't think Trump cared for the most part. I think the Democrats have found a thread and they're pulling as hard as possible, and there's nothing there. Trump wanted an investigation, probably didn't care too much. You know, I was talking to some people and I said, listen, man, do you think that over the past several months, literally the only thing Trump has done was talk about Ukraine? What about every other country on this planet? I'm sure he's had numerous meetings about Brazil or Iran. I mean, we almost went to war. But for some reason, people believe Trump was obsessed. No, I'll tell you what I think happened. I think the president sitting there twiddling his thumbs, while someone talks to him about some security issue that he's not super interested in. And then someone pulls up folder 7 of 53 and says, now about Ukraine. And Trump goes, I heard from Giuliani they were corrupt. I don't know. We shouldn't be giving them money if they're just going to steal it, right? If they want to prove it to me. But anyway, what's the next folder? And that was it. Like, my assumption about this is that all of these things, like, you got to understand, these people testifying, these witnesses and experts on Ukraine, do you think Trump only has a cabinet that deals with Ukraine? Or do you think all of his staff, White House staff, national security personnel deal with a ton of other countries as well? So you have to take that into consideration, that the president probably looked at 50 different folders and said, I don't know, Giuliani said they're corrupt. You figure it out. Maybe get them to say, like, to commit in some way. What's the next one? Could have been a couple seconds. And for the most part, most of these people never even talked with the president. That's amazing. But let's do this. First, I want to show you a couple more stories just moving quickly. The left will tell you that, Vindman was this great hero. No, the New York Post runs this op-ed saying he condemned himself because I got to tell you my opinion and just take my opinion for what it is. You can find your own opinion. That's fine. I looked at this guy as somebody who was mad that he wasn't more prestigious, I guess. He corrected, I think it was Nunes, when someone called him Mr. Vindman. He says, that's Lieutenant Colonel. It's like, dude, I get it. You got an ego, all right? Respect. Like, or I can respect your ego. Fine. Like, I'll call you what you want to be called, right? I'll use someone's title if they ask. But he was complaining apparently about not getting to go to a trip to Ukraine. And then his boss, Morrison, testified that they questioned his judgment. So it's like, this dude was just salty. And it appears this guy may have been the person who leaked to the whistleblower. So here we have an insubordinate staffer who's upset that he's not getting the respect he deserves. Call me Lieutenant Colonel. And then going and ranting to his friend, who then goes and writes a whistleblower report that was wrong and out of context. So let's just jump straight ahead, because otherwise, I don't want to waste too much time. This is from today. Gordon Sondland, ambassador to the EU, just flipped on Trump. Nothing happened. You know what, man? There is, I believe it is fair to say, this is the best interview Democrats have gotten so far. Sondland said yes to quid pro quo. But the problem we're seeing now in the political space is this discussion over what constitutes victory. In my opinion, we've got to look at this from legal standards. I understand it's a political fight. Sondland did not say that Trump wanted dirt on Biden. I'm sorry. It just didn't happen. Several journalists have written that he's confirmed that Trump, as a quid pro quo, wanted an investigation into Biden. But Sondland has said over and over so far today, not Biden, Burisma. Not Biden, Burisma. Yet the journalists are still saying Biden because apparently they're biased. Look, man, let me wrap it up for you. While this was good for Democrats because he said, yes, there was a quid pro quo, everyone knew it. If Ukraine wanted the aid, they had to announce this investigation. The problem is, what are we getting to at its core? I think this actually could undermine Democrats. Let me stress, it does give Democrats a win in many areas. But you must consider quid pro quo is not illegal. Joe Biden's done it. Obama's done it. It's normal. The issue was the quid pro quo for political campaigns or to weed out corruption? Either one of those will be your opinion. So in the end, it will be political. What do the American people believe? I think the Democrats are hoping that they're going to convince people that it was really about digging up dirt on Biden. I just don't see any evidence to that. The problem is the Democrats are not digging at whether or not Trump's intent was dirt. They're digging at whether or not quid pro quo happened. So I've seen conservatives, Trump supporters, saying it was a mistake to for the conservatives, for the White House to fight over quid pro quo. I disagree. Quid pro quo is not a crime. It is not impeachable. Let the Democrats win that fight and you go, oh, drat, you won on quid pro quo. And then once it finally comes to the trial, the Democrats are going to say, well, we proved quid pro quo, and everyone's going to be like, congratulations, that's not impeachable. But it was about campaign dirt. Sorry, you didn't spend any of the time during the impeachment hearings proving Trump's intent to dig up dirt on Joe Biden. Perhaps there's some statement from Trump saying, I'm going to lose to Biden. Nothing. Never been brought up. Perhaps there was a document that shows Biden is going to beat Trump and Trump was concerned about it. Never happened. Did the Democrats ask any of these people, has Trump ever expressed concern to you that Biden was going to beat him in 2020? No. All they're doing is talking about Burisma, Biden, and quid pro quo. Congratulations. No substance, no proof that Trump wanted dirt on Biden. So in the end, my conclusion is Trump wanted an investigation. I don't know why. The assumption, based on what we're hearing from the staff, is that there were concerns that Ukraine would siphon away U.S. taxpayer dollars to oligarchs. That's the best case scenario. If Democrats want to disprove that narrative, they have to ask, at any point, did Trump express fear that he would lose to Joe Biden? Did he say this could be an attempt to help him win? Did he say, if Ukraine announces this, they might give me a leg up in 2020. Did anything ever happen like that? No. No one has asked a single question about intent. In the end, this is a waste of time. And I'm sorry you've watched this much of it. Seriously. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that it's true Gordon Sondland flipped, and he's providing contradictory testimony. First, we have this tweet from Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short. Ambassador Gordon Sondland was never alone with Vice President Pence on the September 1st trip to Poland. This alleged discussion recalled by Ambassador Sondland never happened. It doesn't matter so much what Sondland said or what this pertains to. Just the fact is that Sondland flipped, and now his testimony seemingly doesn't make sense, and it's even being contradicted by Pence's chief of staff. We also can point this out. On November 14th, U.S. envoy Sondland did not link Biden probe to aid Ukraine minister. I thought Sondland confirmed quid pro quo. He said it. He did. He said there was and everyone knew it. Hold on. But the Ukraine minister is saying it didn't happen? You know what, man? I think I've just about had enough. I think we know this is a waste of time. The Democrats aren't investigating anything of substance. And so this is just dragging them down to where they're losing independence. Independent voters oppose what they are doing now. Or more so, I should say. They still have some. But in the end, these are the votes you need. I think Adam Schiff, I think Nancy Pelosi, they're not coordinating. They don't know what their strategy is. Without a strong leader in the Democratic Party, this is what you get. I imagine that you've got Pelosi, Schumer, and you've got Schiff, and they're arguing over what move should be made, and Schiff finally pushed them towards impeachment, and Nadler. And in the end, there's no charismatic leader to unite the party. Obama has tried and failed. But don't let that stop the left from saying basically the same thing I am. Radley Balco, 2 observations. The 2 witnesses Republicans wanted were incredibly damning to Trump. This would matter only if the Republicans were susceptible to being persuaded by facts or reality. They aren't, so they'll claim vindication anyway. Now listen, I will leave you with one very, very important point. I don't know if I'm in a bubble and you're in a bubble and they're in bubbles. Who's right? Where's objective reality? Honestly, it's hard to know for sure when someone tweets that these 2 witnesses, Volker and Morrison, were damning to Trump when they actually defended him. I saw that and I said, wow, this is bad for Democrats. And I got to tell you, man, even according to Time magazine, Schiff was getting angry. And presumably he was getting angry because they kept rejecting the Democrat premise. And for like an hour and a half, I was listening to these guys defend the president inadvertently. Like they insulted him to an extent. They said he was accused of believing conspiracy theories. He was wrong, but nothing illegal or impeachable. So Schiff got mad. Yet still, they say Republicans don't believe the facts. Radley, I think you've done some great work on, he's written about police and security apparatus and stuff like that. It's been very great. But let me just tell you one thing. I don't know who's right or who's wrong. I understand the point you're making. I just made the same point. But at the end of the day, the independents now oppose the impeachment inquiry after the first week of hearings. So if you believe that it's the Republicans who are trapped in a parallel reality, I'd have to look to the polls and show you that whether or not they're right or wrong, maybe you're right. Maybe they can't be persuaded by facts, but I'll tell you what, you are now in the minority. Okay? Actually, no, I take that back. I think in terms of support or opposition, most people, by 2 percentage points, people support removal versus opposing it. But what I should say is the people in the middle who haven't made up their minds, the independent voters, the Republicans overwhelmingly support Trump. The poll shows it. The Democrats overwhelmingly oppose Trump. Your side is your side, and you can rag on the Republicans all you want, but I will tell you this. Republicans might not be able to be swayed by facts. Fine, make that point. Independents, the people you're trying to convince, disagree with you. And they are now opposing what you are doing. In the end, I can only say it seems like this is falling into a Republican victory overall. Gordon Sondland testified many things that will benefit the Democrats. It was a great win for them in many ways. But in the end, so far, the ratings are down, people don't really care, and the independents oppose impeachment. This will likely play out very well for Trump in 2020. But it is not over. We have yet to collect the data, and the hearings are currently happening as I record this video. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Although it's entirely possible I just stopped talking about impeachment. Man, it is. Let me tell you. There was a day I remember where everything was great. I was feeling, great. I was energized. I was passionate. And then something happened. And I can't remember what that story was, but all of a sudden it felt like someone took a sledgehammer to my chest. And it was just like, I snapped. This is insane. It's Russiagate 2, electric, boogaloo. It's the same thing over and over again. But I saw it reflected in viewership and engagement and TV ratings. Whatever hit me, hit everyone else all the same. And I'm confident that, with the past few videos I've done on impeachment, they've done rather poorly relative to where things were, a while ago. I think people have genuinely just said, I'm tired of this. Enough. So if you've managed to watch this video all the way to the end, you have my profound respect, because I can barely stand sitting here listening to this. And for you to sit here and listen to me every day, that's impressive. So you have my eternal gratitude. If you do think I could do a good job, please consider sharing the video, but I will wrap it up there. Next segment will be at 6 p.m., youtube.com/TimCastNews. Did you notice yesterday I did a video about aliens? I actually did pretty well. Not the greatest video I've ever done in terms of interest, but it feels good to talk about something other than this insanity. I will see you all at 6 p.m. youtube.com/TimCastNews, and thank you again for watching.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends from around the country and around the world. This is, hopefully, one of your favorite deplorable brothers right here checking in with you today on this Tuesday. TGIT, I always say, because you got to be thankful for every single day. So TGIT, how are all you doing out there in the amazing world, all over the country and all over the world? Well, I'm going to bring some news to you guys today, folks. I've got highlights from this ridiculous impeachment sham. Just more money wasted. More of our money wasted. More of our time wasted by these do-nothing Democrats that don't want to do anything other than get this president that's doing an amazing job out of office. Not going to happen. Not on our watch. You can take that to the bank, Pelosi. I'm going to cover some of that. I've got some funny clips that I'm going to cover with you guys today. I had to make a funny video. I posted it on my Twitter. I posted it on my Instagram. I didn't put it on Facebook. It's like 20 seconds. Maybe I will. You guys tell me. But I had to. We got to keep some humor in the day, right? We can't just go through the day dragging because the Democrats are pushing this entire bull crap every single day. It's ridiculous. They're getting outed, folks. They're getting outed. They're being found out. We the American people, we are smart. We're more intelligent than these Democrats and swamp creatures give us credit for. And we are waking up to the truth, and we're waking up to all of the beautiful news that we get to find out about the economy, about jobs, because that's what it is, folks. We've got a booming economy, and we've got jobs galore because of this president. Obama can't take credit for that. And I hate it when somebody, I love it when somebody tries to say, oh, we can thank Obama for that. Really? Didn't he say all these jobs aren't going to come back to the United States? Didn't he say Trump doesn't have a magic wand and isn't just going to bring all these jobs back? Well, he found his magic wand, and it's called a backbone. That's exactly what it's called. So I've got some news today. I've got some videos for you. We're going to have fun today. TGIT. And thank you guys so much for those of you that have subscribed to my podcast. I now have a podcast on iTunes, on Google Play, and and Spotify, and you can click the podcast link on the front of my website, davidharrisjr.com, and you can subscribe to your favorite podcast listening platform. Thank you guys. I've got amazing interviews lined up to bring you some amazing people, really good people. and we're going to cover some topics that you don't normally just get to see on news sites, on news stations, on news hours, things like that. I'm going to dive deep with some folks, like I got to do with Glenn Beck. I was on his podcast. It was released on Saturday for those of you that love or follow Glenn Beck, or if you just want to hear the podcast, listen to Glenn's podcast from last Saturday. It is me and Glenn just talking, getting down and getting real for about 45 minutes or so. We got real. And at the end of it, I got to pray with Glenn. I asked him, I said, can we pray? And he said, yes. So we got to pray, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful thing to be able to do. So let's jump right into to this, folks. If you're watching these, I mean, I don't think that I think they know the American people aren't watching. We're waiting for highlights because it's so boring and it's so full of BS. Who has time to sit there and watch a bunch of bullshine continue to pour out of all these people's mouths that don't know what they're talking about, that didn't hear anything firsthand? Well, it is fun seeing some of the clips when their butts get handed to them by those that do know what's going on. But let's listen to this. These are people that are the ambassador for Ukraine and the direct. He works directly for the ambassador. This is what they had to say about whether or not they heard or knew of anything illegal, bribery, call it what you want it, quid pro quo, call it whatever you want. This is them saying exactly what they know.
Mr. Morrison, I'll start with you. Did anyone ever ask you to bribe or extort anyone at any time during your time in the White House?
No, sir.
And you were the top person for Ukraine in the White House, correct? At the NSC level.
I would argue Ambassador Bolton would be, but...
Reporting to Ambassador Bolton.
I was a senior official, yes, sir.
Ambassador Volker, you have a storied career. We're very thankful for your service, and you were the special envoy to Ukraine.
That is correct.
Did anyone at the White House ever ask you to bribe or extort anything out of anyone at any time?
No, sir.
Thank you.
No! It should be over and done. Folks, for the Democrats, for Pelosi, for pencil neck Adam Schiff to continue to push this narrative, it is only making us Americans that see through their crap more infuriated with them. So you know what? Keep on doing it. Keep on shoveling your crap. Keep on shoveling that manure, because we're taking it and we're sticking it right in your backyard, and you're gonna recognize that come 2020 when we not only reelect our president, but if we do it, which we need to, we take back the stinking house, folks. But we've got to do it. I really believe that these hearings are something that is it's only showing Americans what is really going on. Here's what's really going on too. Nancy Pelosi says it's dangerous to allow the American voters to decide the 2020 election. Yes, Pelosi said this, folks. They don't want to leave it in the hands of good old American citizens. No, they want to take that right. They want to do what they want to do, what they think is best. Doesn't that sound a lot like communism? If you needed any more proof that Democrats believe impeachment is their only chance to deprive President Trump of a second term, Pelosi's statements erases all doubt. It proves that Pelosi believes voters will give Trump a second term. I do believe we will. I can understand how you can look at this field and get disheartened. It is the island of misfits. Pelosi said the weak response to these hearings has been let the election decide, which it should. That dangerous position only adds to the urgency of our action. The dangerous position to let the American people vote? They want to take away our ability to have a say-so in who runs our country. They are literally exposing themselves, folks. This is coming from Pelosi. She goes on to say, because POTUS is jeopardizing the integrity of the 2020 elections. I don't know. You know, all they can do is lie and hope that enough people believe it and don't even research it. Don't just take their words for it. Forget about the fake collusion. Forget about all the Russia stuff. Forget it. Now it's Ukraine. Let's forget about Joe Biden. You know who's not in the public limelight like he should be? Hunter Biden. Yeah. He should be continually If it was Donald Trump's son, if it was Don Jr., and he had done this, I don't care if they were already out of office. If the president was already out of office, it would be mainstream media headlights everywhere 24/7 until the media demanded and then Congress acted and said, okay, we've got to kowtow and figure out what the heck's going on. It's silence. It's crickets because it's the Bidens, which is connected to Obama. You've heard the acronym for OBAMA, right? One big mistake, America. Well, we're finding out more about that every single day. We are. All right, back to the hearing highlights here. This guy was supposed to be Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, was supposed to be another smoking gun. Initially, his article came out. I shared the article that, he's got the smoking gun. He is going to be the one to deliver the death blow to the president, and it's going to be over for his presidency. The president's going to have to resign, or he's going to get impeached after we hear what Lieutenant Colonel Vindman has to say.
And similarly, you've never met the President of the United States, right?
That is correct.
So you've never advised the President of the United States on Ukraine?
I advised him indirectly. I made all his preparations for the calls.
But you've never spoken to the President of the United States and told him advice on Ukraine?
That is correct.
Mr. Vindman, you testified in your deposition that you did not know the whistleblower.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, you testified in the deposition that you did not know who the whistleblower was or is.
I do not know who the whistleblower is. That is.
So how is it possible for you to name these people and then out the whistleblower?
Per the advice of my counsel, I've been advised not to answer specific questions about members of the intelligence community.
Thank you, counsel. As I indicated before, this committee will not be used to out the whistleblower.
So therein lies the problem, folks. Why is he not allowed to answer these questions if he doesn't even know who the whistleblower is? Something stinks to high heaven, folks. And it's got Democrat scandal written all over it. They don't want us to know the truth. They're doing everything they can to hide the truth. Well, we've got more on Pelosi here. She just thinks, it's going so bad. The economy's so horrific. Jobs are so bad. And this president has been proven to be guilty on every charge that the Democrats claim that he's guilty of, that he should just resign. You think that after everything that Donald Trump has been through as president in order to serve us, that he's just going to resign? House Speaker Pelosi suggested that President Trump follow in the historical footsteps of Richard Nixon and resign from office. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It was a statement shockingly unworthy of the office she holds. It also speaks volumes for the self-inflicted dilemma the Democrats find themselves in after they started pushing for impeachment 3 years ago. Before Trump was even inaugurated into office as the president, they still don't have anything to show for it except for a history of unfair practices, constitutional violations, and criminal leaking and perjury from their own ranks. That whole article's on my website. Please share it. You got to click the URL and share it. Share it in groups and things. I'm seriously being censored here, and you can see by the numbers it's an absolute ridiculousness that I'm dealing with. But I will not quit. I will not stay silent, and I will not give up in this fight. I'm here to bring you guys the truth and bring what needs to be brought. I love how Nunez really, this clip, it sums up this entire sham, folks, for the American people.
We, of course, are free to act as Democrat puppets, and they're free to lurch from the Russia hoax to the Ukraine hoax at the direction of their puppet masters. But they cannot reasonably expect to do so without alienating half the country who voted for the president they're trying to expel. Americans have learned to recognize fake news when they see it, and if the mainstream press won't give it to them straight, they'll go elsewhere to find it, which is exactly what the American people are doing.
That is exactly why I am here, folks, to bring you guys the truth, to bring you the news that's not all filled with all the fluff that comes from flatulence like Eric Swalwell. He's so full of it, he couldn't even keep it inside when he was on the air live. Did you see that clip? I've got it here for you. I was going to save it for later. But Nunez is right. I'm going to talk about Nunez for a second because he is exactly right. The Democrats are trying to undo what we, the American people, what our voices projected, what we stood up and voted for. What we wanted was this president, not Hillary Clinton. We didn't want Hillary. And if she steps up to run again, she's going to lose again. We wanted Donald J. Trump because we believe that he has our country's interests in mind. Not China, not Ukraine, not like these globalists that have been running our country for decades on both sides. That's why so much of Washington is against him. There's swamp creatures on both sides, folks. I truly believe that Donald Trump stepped into something in order to try to clean it up. And he's done a heck of a job in the face of all that he's had to fight and battle. But now let me get back to Swalwell. I need a little humor after that segment. This is Swalwell. Did you guys see this? Did you guys see this? This is Swalwell on, I think it's MSNBC Live. You tell me if you hear this. You tell me what you think.
The president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from the evidence...
He's so full of it. He couldn't even keep it in, folks. Hold on. He has since denied this, if you can believe that. If you can believe that at all, he has since denied that he passed gas on the air. Now, I can attest. I've been in the little rooms. It is a small room, a small studio room with just you and a camera, and it is quiet in there. You could hear a pin drop. When I was on Fox last week, I tried clearing my throat, hoping that nobody heard, and it was just a slight, just a slight one. And it picked it up. It picked it up loud and clear afterwards. So the thing that I know, how I know that this was in fact, without a doubt, Swalwell. There's nobody else in the room when you're in these little studios. It is airtight and quiet. But he actually pauses before he let it rip. He pauses. Hold on. I got to get it right here. I'll get it right there. All right, pay attention to this. Watch this. He actually pauses before he lets it rip. Watch this.
The president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
I'm in the mood. You can't hold me. You can't hold me to it. I saw that played again. I played it for you guys. He let it rip, folks. He was live. He paused. He was saying, he was talking and he paused and then he kept on going. I'm going to play it one more time just in case you didn't see the pause. You got to see this pause because here's the thing. Now he's denying it. He's a liar. Eric Swalwell, you are a liar. Period. There's no way you can blame this on anybody else. There was nobody else in that room, and your butt was the closest to your microphone. Actually, really close anyway. But still, one more time. The
president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
To help him cheat an election. He paused, folks. He paused. So here's the thing. Now he's lying about this. Now he's saying that he absolutely did not do it. It's all over the place. I posted a funny video on Twitter and on my Instagram. I was shopping today, and I hit a Walmart because there's one really close to my house. If it's something small, I needed some saline, and I needed a couple other things. I'll show you in a second what I got. But I walked by, and I happened to see something that I thought would be the perfect gift for Eric. It just leapt out at me. So I said, you know me, I like to get on the camera. The reception's not very good inside there, so I didn't go live. But I had to just take a little video and say, Eric, I found the perfect gift for you. I didn't buy it. It was a package of men's Depends. I'm sorry if anybody out there uses them. If you need to, that's fine. But Eric needs them. He, who knows what he had to clean up after he did that one and let that one rip. Anyway, we'll get back to some news, but I just need a little bit of humor. I think it's pretty stinking funny. We'll get over to this. Epstein, folks. Epstein, no. Just like Christmas lights, just like candy canes, just like Christmas ornaments, they don't hang themselves. Well, we all knew it. I've had more people that were in the center or even more leaning left. I've had more people tell me there's no way he killed himself. And it opened up a whole other just paradigm shift for them, that if people could have the connections to get into that jail where they were holding him, where he's under 24-hour surveillance, had already apparently attempted it 2 weeks prior, being checked on every 30 minutes. If they could get to him, what the heck else were people missing? One of my good friends, you may be watching right now, Manny, he called me. He said, David, I can't believe this. They're saying it was a suicide. Everybody's saying it's a suicide. There's no way he offed himself. Well, we've got Senator Kennedy that is actually in the hearings where there have been two of the guards, the prison guards, that have been convicted, that have been charged with crimes. They say they were sleeping. They say they were on the internet surfing instead of checking on Epstein. Get out of here. You expect us to believe that over that he killed himself? No. Not going to happen. Probably one of the worst, most prolific pedophiles that we've ever had or heard of, connected to how many dozens or hundreds more around the world, and they just decided to not check on him after he had just allegedly attempted suicide 2 weeks prior. And they just decided to not check on him for the very few couple hours when he did wound up dead.
How can I put this? Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name three things that don't hang themselves. That's what the American people think. That's what the American people think. And they deserve some answers. And I know that you're not in charge of these investigations.
Yes, sir.
But you talk to the people who are. And I need you to take a very respectful message today. Tell the American people what happened. And don't rush it so that they don't do a thorough investigation. But you and I both know they can make this a top priority and get it done more quickly than they normally would.
Well, I am so glad to see that we've got senators that are actually telling it like it is, like we, the American people, feel it is, and actually putting it out there and saying, you know what, we need to get to the bottom of it. ABC needs to be held accountable. They sat on the Epstein story for 3 years while he continued his reign of terror against children. A lot of people need to be held accountable, folks. But one thing's for sure, he didn't do it. Who did? Well, you know, therein lies the speculation. Could it be another one added to the Clinton list? Could it have been England? What could it have been, folks? Who was behind it? Well, could it have been a collaborated effort to try to take out somebody that could have brought down a whole lot of powerful people? You know, it wasn't suicide. That's for dang sure. Absolutely for dang sure. So these guards, you've seen it already. Prison guards responsible for Epstein's safety have been charged with multiple crimes. As alleged, the defendants had a duty to ensure the safety and security of federal inmates and their care at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman said in the statement, instead, they repeatedly failed to conduct mandated checks on inmates and lied on official forms to hide their dereliction. Yeah, well, we're pretty sure they got paid to neglect their duties. And here's a good twist, at least for getting to the bottom of it and exposing what was really going on. The prison director admits FBI is probing a possible criminal enterprise involved in Jeffrey Epstein's death. So, yeah, it might have been an absolute collaboration. This morning, during a testimony on Capitol Hill, the Bureau of Prisons director revealed that FBI agents are investigating the death of billionaire convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and are now looking into whether a criminal enterprise played a role in his death. It's exactly what I think was taking place. There was a whole lot of powerful people that wanted to shut him up and had all the money in the world to buy off whoever they needed to in order to get that done. All right, we've got, I'm going to jump back to the hearings just for a second and this entire impeachment scandal because this is something you don't see every day. CNN, somebody on CNN actually throwing Pelosi under the bus. I hope this woman... Well, I don't hope she keeps her job at CNN. Maybe she'll go help Fox out a little bit. They need some help.
The word bribery. And that was a political shift. We all heard Nancy Pelosi do it in her press conference last week. It was blatantly obvious that she used the word bribery intentionally because it packs more of a punch. It is more understandable for people because her goal is to penetrate public opinion. It has been. She's very open about that. And quid pro quo doesn't cut it. And that is a political aim, and it is what it is, and that is their goal.
And to your point about public opinion, so last week after the hearings, Morning Consult Politico indicated public support did not increase. Independents went down -10 on impeachment. NPR Marist, 70% of people in both parties say, I can't imagine hearing anything in these hearings that would change me off of my current position. Axios has focus groups today they're reporting on, swing voters in Wisconsin, saying they are unmoved by what they've heard so far. So it's obvious why they're having to change the political tactics because it has not yet penetrated.
That's right. They've got to change the tactics up. They can't keep coming at us, the American people, with the same full of Eric Swalwell hot air that they've been coming at us with. You know what? They don't have anything to come at this president with. They don't have anything to do other than just make stuff up. It's like Adam Schiff already did, making up statements. He's made up more statements. He did it in today's hearings. He made up more statements. The president said, well, you need to go focus on this Ukrainian thing with the Bidens and find this. No, he's making stuff up because there's nothing there, folks. And I, like you as an American that loves this country, am getting upset, getting tired of listening to the shenanigans, the circus. Hopefully Americans realize that it's taxpayer money that they are going through these hearings on. It's our money they're wasting on this crap. I think it's going to wake Americans up. I really, really do. Well, here's a picture I wanted to add, folks. This is one of the beautiful highlights of my last week in my travels that I got to get finally. I should have had a video selfie with the president, too. I tell you, I actually get nervous around it. I do and I don't. It's funny. I don't know what it is. I just got to believe that all things work together for good. I had the president coming to me. I had my camera phone up. He's coming to me, and right when he gets in the shot, I turned to say something to him about something completely unrelated that was in my head and my heart, and I wanted to get out. Had to do with God, but otherwise I would have sat there and just had him on camera. Anyway, that's just giving you a little insight into some of the behind the scenes of what I go through. But this shot right here, folks, what an absolute honor. I know you saw it on my top of my Facebook page. You've seen it. I've posted it. But this right here is an absolute beautiful, amazing day. And yes, I'm a little bit taller than the president. What would you guys, if I threw those on a mug or if I had those pictures made and he can't sign them, but I could sign them, would you guys be interested in that? Let me know. It'd be a point of contact for you to just pray for this brother right here as God continues to open doors for me to be able to do things and be a voice for this current climate, for this generation, as I believe that he's brought me into this world to be and in this moment, in this hour in our country. So you guys, let me know. I absolutely love that. That's all I got for you today. Tomorrow is my beautiful bride of 25 years' birthday, so I will not be going live tomorrow at 6 o'clock Texas time. I will be enjoying some time with her. Wish her a happy birthday. My beautiful bride, Jennifer, absolutely madly in love with that woman. I wouldn't be the man I am today, and if you had a chance to read the book, my book, Why I Couldn't Stay Silent, you'd know why. My next book, I'll expound on it even more, but absolutely love that I get to spend the day with her. So I won't be back tomorrow, but I will be back on Thursday. So God bless you guys. Stay tuned for more. Thank you guys for sharing my videos, sharing my articles, helping to support me. And if you haven't gotten this already, get your own I Support 45. It's great on airplanes, walking through the mall. We just need a whole bunch of people just plastering everywhere and posting them everywhere that we support this president. I've got some funny videos to show you that I've already done as well. So God bless you. Thank you so much again. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Great stuff there from all those videos. Welcome back to Don't Tread on Me. I'm your co-host, Beachball29. Let's get into the world of politics and the dumpster fire that is Star Wars. The rise of Skywalker, the rise of Soy Walker, the rise of irrelevancy, the rise of, instead of making a good story, we pushed an agenda. They don't get it. They thought, Disney, we bought Star Wars, we're making money. It doesn't matter if we've lost the fandom forever. Doesn't matter if we lost all those toxic white people. We're moving forward. And nobody's buying. Have you seen the rows and rows of empty, doing some stuff here. Rows and rows of empty toys at your local Walmart? No, you haven't, because they've been cleared to make room for toys that actually make money. You could go to your bargain outlets like Ollie's, we have up here, and you could see rows and rows and rows and rows of Disney products, not just Star Wars stuff, but Disney stuff that nobody bought. Proving once again that SJWs do not have money. They're only concerned with winning the culture war, not buying your product. Unlike the loyal customers who do. Now, I've got a chicken in the oven I'm going to be eating as soon as I get done with this episode. So I want to get into these videos with Ethan Van Sciver of Comic Pro Artist Secrets, or Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I think I got that backwards. But anyway, talking about Forbes magazine criticizing the Rose Tico posters. Oh, and the SJWs just flipped out. It's beautiful. And then, of course, Ethan talking about the total and utter failure of Kathleen Kennedy. Those two videos will close out this evening's episode of Don't Tread on Me. Find us on Facebook, N3 Radio, Don't Tread on Me. Or Don't Tread on Me at N3 Radio. Mad Dog would love to hear from you. Go and join our webpage. Check it out. You can also listen to old episodes of DTOM at Spreaker.com/user/N3Radio. You can find us on SoundCloud, Tumblr. You can find us on YouTube under the name N3 Radio. We are live 24/7, except we take a couple breaks like tonight. But we will be 24/7 here pretty soon. But basically, Thursday through Monday, yeah, we go 24/7. We take a little break on Tuesday and Wednesday to give the computer a break, right? Because we're just a mom and pop store running a 24-hour radio station. But I think we're doing pretty good. It's all because of you, the listener. Spread the word. Let everybody know about N3 Radio. You know someone who wants their own show? Send them on our way. We'll give you a show. You see what I could talk about. You see how I'm free to discuss whatever I want. The only thing we ask you is no racial stuff. Like Rosie does sometimes on the N3 Radio show. No excuses, no apologies, no regrets. But hey, that's the name of our show. That's the name of our company. No excuses, no apologies, no regrets. D-Tom, Don't Tread on Me, signing out for this week. Join us next week for another new episode right before Thanksgiving. That's right, we're going to have a Thanksgiving Eve episode next week. Take care, have a good one, spread the word, and don't let them tread on you. Beachball29, signing out. Here's Ethan Van Sciver on the debacle, known now as Star Wars. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Let's go.
I get. Hello. I started this gangsta. And this the thanks I get.
Hey, if you like this content but still haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Join us. All right, well, what do you know, everyone? It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I'm Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of this crumbling, collapsing, catastrophic comic book industry, world's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Also very handsome. Great big Star Wars fan. Trusted member of the media, unlike Scott Mendelson. You know, I told Scott Mendelson last year, I said, you know, your photograph, your byline photograph, in which you are tilting your chin downwards into your neck and looking up at us like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Little unsettling, my friend. A little too on the nose for the tone and theme of your article, Scott. And he said, oh. And then suddenly he's got this new photograph that he uses now. It's a little less unsettling, but it still is kind of unnerving. This guy's up to no good, you know it. He writes this article here, and boy, somebody just tipped me off to this. I'm so happy. I have to. Okay. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker character posters. How big are these posters? Include Rose Tico. Hello. I just gotta let you know, but not Luke and Leia. Scott Mendelson is, troubled by this. Scott Mendelson is finally beginning to see our point. Is that what this article is going to go on to say? Scott Mendelson is starting to understand the weirdo agenda of Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy. It's their characters over the classic characters, the ones that people actually care about. They're forcing us to like Rose Tico. They're forcing us. Well, it worked on me. Rose looks great. She really, look, much better. Much better. I mean, even though she's dressed she looks a little like Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back. Same kind of, why couldn't they just give her a nice blouse? Why is she dressed like this? And I like the gun though. That's good. Yeah, and I also like the tight slacks and the extra gun. You have a backup gun, and it's like on your ass. That's good. December 20th, we'll get to see Rose Tico. Now, here's what Scott Mendelson has to say. Rose Tico gets her own Star Wars Rise of Skywalker poster. Well, this is a relief. No, that's not what he sounds like. He sounds like this. This is a relief. Yeah, hold on. Let me see if that voice fits Scott Mendelson. Let me try that again. Well, this is a relief. Yeah, it is. That's him. I'm pretty sure that's what he sounds like. Okay. Well, this is a relief. Walt Disney is marking the 1 month out occasion by releasing 12 character posters for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Well, we've got Daisy Ridley Rey. We've got Finn. Okay, I don't care about Rey. Like, the less Rey that I see, the better. I'm tired. Once you've seen one image of Rey, you've seen them all. Why do they keep making action figures of Rey? Why? Why do they keep making Rey product? It's incredibly boring. Rey is like one of the most boring Star Wars characters of all time. And then there is Finn, John Boyega, and Poe. No, Poe Dameron is one of the most boring Star Wars characters of all time. Chewie by Junice Suotamo. C-3PO, R2-D2, BB-8. Can you imagine getting a full-size, full-scale BB-8 poster on your wall? What kind of maniac? What kind of sick maniac? What kind of lunatic that skins people alive would get a full-size BB-8 poster on their wall? Lando Calrissian, that's Billy D. Williams. Kylo Ren. Oh, it's Ben Solo, everyone. It's Ben Solo, Adam Driver. Let's stalk him. Let's threaten his family, you ridiculous weirdo Reylos. And they were threatening his wife, child, all because they wanted Adam Driver to hook up with Daisy Ridley Rey for, I guess, I don't know, in their heads, some pretty basic substandard intercourse. Jana, that's Naomi Aki, Naomi Aki's character. We've seen her. We've seen images of her. Another boring character. Zori Bliss by Kerry Russell, who, spoiler alert, well, no, these aren't spoilers. This is the rumor. The rumor is Zori Bliss is the Skywalker. Kerry Russell's character Zori Bliss, who was a bounty hunter, who looks a little bit like the Rocketeer, Rocketeer helmet, is actually the Skywalker that's going to rise. Okay, Rose Tico, finally, Rose Tico, and a robot whose name escapes me. Honestly, Rose wasn't included in the initial email I got, but she has a poster, so there's peace in our time. How can I get that poster? If I had this poster, it would be behind me right now. When I did live streams, you guys would see. I'm assuming this poster is like wall-sized. And if it is, I'm putting it behind me on the wall. I will take it to Michael's Arts and Crafts. I will get it personally. I will have it framed. I'll have it matted. And I will, I don't know. I will probably, you know what I'll do is I'll put actual roses, dried roses around it. And I'll put it behind me. It'll be my Rose Tico shrine. Some of you are new to this channel, and you're like, what's wrong with this dude? Yeah, well, you had to be here a year ago. Alright, it's entirely possible, if not quite likely, that Rose Tico's role in The Rise of Skywalker will be smaller than it was in The Last Jedi. That's what I hear. I hear they're going to whack her out in the first 15 minutes. And that's another rumor. She's technically Rian Johnson's character. The one good thing Rian Johnson ever did, who was a supporting player in Finn's, quote, from casual observer to true resistance member character arc, and we already know from just released novel, her and Finn didn't end up together after The Last Jedi. It wouldn't have worked out, Rose. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He's gay. Alright? Alright. She'll probably have a promotion. Since most of the resistance died in the finale of the last movie, she'll spend her screen time giving orders, being present, and occasionally participating in the action sequences. Oh my God, Rose, give me orders and let's participate in an action sequence together. I hope my wife isn't watching this. But considering the extent to which at least some fans really liked the fan surrogate character, it was a smart call to give her a poster. And considering the reaction in certain circles, specifically racist online trolls, those racist online trolls, and you know who you are, you knock it off. You knock it off. Hey, why don't you chew on this Rose Tico poster? This is for you, incels, you filthy animals, who hated her partially because she was an Asian female. Oh my God, everyone. All of these white males that I know hate Asian females. They have real trouble with these Asian females. Teamed up with a black man with prime hero moments in a Star Wars movie. Well, to be fair, Rose Tico actually is directly responsible. First of all, Rose Tico was a fascist enforcer in a volunteer army. That's the first thing that we must recognize, Scott Mendelson. That's partially why I like her. Rose Tico has a stun gun, a cattle prod that she used to actually force people to stay with the resistance, which might as well be the Salvation Army. It might as well be the Boy Scouts of America. You know, they weren't conscripted. They could have left at any time, but no, they couldn't because some angry little munchkin with a cattle prod in a potato sack was going to keep them in line. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Rose Tico was directly responsible for killing Luke Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker should be a condemnation of Rose Tico's actions in The Last Jedi. Oh, he's still getting up, Rose. You stopped a completely ancillary, worthless character. Finn, I'm sorry, he is. Compared to Luke Skywalker, Finn is worthless. From sacrificing himself heroically. One man's sacrifice would have saved the galaxy, and it would have allowed Luke Skywalker to not have to martyr himself. But I hope that kiss was worth it, Rose. I hope that kiss was worth it. I don't, probably to her it was. All right, so she had prime hero moments. The same trolls who forced her and Daisy Ridley off social media for sport. Get off of social media. The lack of a Rose poster would have made it look like Disney and Lucasfilm was giving in to the less pleasant portions of Star Wars fandom. Anyone who doesn't like Rose Tico is less than pleasant. I 100% agree. I'm aware, says Scott Mendelson, I'm aware that this isn't necessarily a logical scenario. After all, there's no love thus far for Luke, Leia, Maz Kanata? There's no Maz Kanata poster. Oh my God. What kind of depraved lunatic would hang a Maz Kanata life-size poster on their wall? What kind of maniac? What kind of sick kid toucher would put a Maz Kanata poster on their wall? Why even print one? You know what I mean? Just print as many as, however many sell. I mean, take notes for the FBI database. What kind of lunatic? Palpatine would be cool, though. General Hux is another one. What kind of lowlife? What kind of weirdo? What kind of couch surfing wino hobo would hang a General Hux poster on their wall? What kind of weirdo? All right. In a missed opportunity for pandering, Billy Lord's Lieutenant Connix. Yeah, why not? Why not hang up Billy Lord? That's Carrie Fisher's daughter. She was okay. I don't remember much about her, but I have nothing against her. Hell, he says. Hell. It's entirely possible that Disney will drop more posters tomorrow featuring some of these characters, although it seems less than likely considering the sheer amount of content they dropped today. This is an Avengers Endgame when they are going to drop. Why do they make it sound like poop? They're dropping things. We're dropping some poop. Here's some more posters. Here's a poster of Maz Kanata. Here's a poster of General Hux. Here's a poster of Vice Admiral. They're not going to. She's dead. I believe she's dead. Wouldn't that be horrible if it turned out that she wasn't and she survived? This is an Avengers Endgame when they're going to drop nearly 40 character posters, but with 13 offered today, I am breathing a sigh of relief at the PR headache that was prevented. All right, well, good. Scott Mendelson, I am too. Scott Mendelson's like, we are going to produce product that nobody wants in defiance of the haters. Now, I am the only one who wants a Rose Tico poster. I'm the only one, and I hope that they print one for one. I want the Rose Tico poster. I will hang it on my wall. I guess it says with 13 offered today. I guess that means I can probably find one and order it. Can I do that? Hold on. Rose Tico poster. Search. All right, let's see what we can do. Delivered to Ethan. Oh, what is this? We do have a Rose Tico poster, but this is not the right. That's still pretty good. It's not the one that I'm looking for, though. We got a Bon Jovi hoodie. We got the cutout stand-up. I used to have one of those. Where's the Rose Tico poster? Where's the new Rose Tico poster? Why is Bon Jovi associated with Rose Tico? There's a lot of Bon Jovi product there. All right, Rise of Resistance, Rose Tico poster. Tommy used to work on the docks. All right, let's see. All right, so I got that. Let's see. What is this? Oriental Trading Company. Rose Tico. What? Why would they? Are they? Oriental Trading Company. Seems a little bit racist. Oh my gosh. It's a Rise of Skywalker Rose Tico cardboard stand-up of this. Look at it. It's life size, which means, it's about a foot shorter than a normal person. Wow, how about that? Rose Tico has. I will be purchasing this. This is even better. This is even better than this is even better than that poster. Oh, well, why deny myself both of those things? All right, well, very good. Let's add that to cart. We can also get the life-size cardboard stand-up of this wiener monster. Yeah, you wish, brother. You wish. All right, back to this Scott Mendelson clown. Truth be told, I would not have been offended had Tico been left off. Well, that's... but I would have been annoyed at the avoidable online controversies that will develop over the... That would have developed, Scott Mendelson. Don't make me get my red pen out. Over the absence of the fan favorite character. It would look bad when the one prime character from The Last Jedi, in terms of who she is, her identity politics, We have to be concerned about our identity politics that we actually instigated. It's our fault. We asked for this. We said, "Oh yeah, but she's Asian." Oh my goodness! So now you're actually trapped. Now you can't get rid of this character. You can't kill this character because now you're making an entire statement. When you do something to disgrace Rose Tico or to kill her, to get rid of her, now you're making a statement about all of the Vietnamese women all over the world. I guess she's Vietnamese, I think. I mean, this is the trap that you put yourself into, Lucasfilm. It's ridiculous. And even Scott Mendelson, has fallen for it. Scott Mendelson has fallen into your trap. It would look bad when the one prime character from Last Jedi, in terms of who she is, what she represents, and how that movie was received in certain circles, the Nazi circles, doesn't make the cut. It would look really bad considering that we already went through a controversy concerning Rose seemingly being omitted from the first batch of Rise of Skywalker merchandise. She was omitted. Look at this. This is an outrage from thenerdist.com. Where's Rose Tico in the new Star Wars Rise of Skywalker merchandise? Oh no. Yeah, it was a mystery. Look at her. Oh, in younger times. More innocent times for Rose Tico. Yeah, look at this. Here's the Rose Tico Rebel shirt. They took her right off of it. Now it just says Rebel on it. There's no Rose Tico. Over here, you got Rose Tico right there. Look at that. Get her out of there. Look, they actually removed Rose Tico from the shirt. As scrolling down again, we got, where's Rose Tico there? Where's Rose Tico there? How come I don't see her? Let's see. Let's hit this and find out. This better not be porn. Sorry, everyone. Where's Rose? Yeah, where is Rose? I don't even think Rose was ever on this piece. I don't see her. I don't see Rose up in this piece at all. Yeah, there's no Rose Tico. No Rose Tico on anything. And we got the toys here. There's no Rose Tico here. There's no Rose Tico here. We actually have a shortage of Rose Tico action figures this time around. Rose Tico being eliminated from everything. There is no Rose. This person named Bisexual Disaster says, #where's Rose? Just a heads up, Star Wars, the glaring lack of Rose Tico merchandise is really making it look like you caved to a bunch of racist misogynists who already were or weren't going to buy your merch regardless of her presence. Sidelining your first woman of color, really bad look. It's a really bad look. Lucasfilm. Yeah, I bought all of the Rose Tico merchandise, so if you lack any of it, just come to me. I can probably peel you off a Rose Tico action figure. I've got more than enough to spare. And so, even if it wasn't going to be all over various bus stops or theater lobbies, giving Kelly Marie Tran's heroic resistance fighter her own poster was the easy call. I'm slightly relieved that Disney avoided this obvious blunder. So instead, it's worth noting that save for the non-human characters, like the one who looks like, a wiener. I mean, the alien literally looks like a tortured wiener. Alright, it's worth noting that only Lando showed up in the poster art this time out, solidifying that Rise of Skywalker will be about the new characters without as much quote-unquote support from the older folks who have been written out or, in the case of Carrie Fisher, passed away in real life. Yeah, they're going to try to launch this movie with only Lando Calrissian, really. I mean, Leia is in it, yeah, briefly, I guess. But Lando is going to be the last character they need to fully disgrace. We need to know if... here's the question that they need to answer with Lando Calrissian. Was he just a weirdo robot effer in his youth, or is he still, at age 82, still effing toasters? We need to find that out, and we will find that out, and that will be a good way to get rid of that character as well. Alright, so we'll still get Force Ghost Luke, and we're going to get edited from Force Awakens Outtakes General Leia, but this is all coming down to Rey, Kylo, Finn, and Poe. Oh, hooray. Alright, I'm not going to read the rest of this, just for the sake of copyright. But yes, Scott. You're exactly 100% correct. We have now inadvertently, okay, or was it part of my master plan? It might have been part of my master plan. We have actually forced Lucasfilm to give us even more Rose Tico than they would have anyway. They probably would have gotten rid of Rose. I mean, she wasn't a very good character, but because the fandom menace made such a squawk about Rose Tico, now you have no choice. Kelly Marie Tran, we have made it so that you will have lifetime employment in Lucasfilm at Disney. I don't see why you can't be in a Marvel movie right now. Talk to Kevin Feige about that. Probably take the scowl off your face when you do it. But do ask him. Say, hey, listen, I want to play Wolverine. I want to be the new Wolverine, Kevin Feige. And he'll say, Wolverine he's a Canadian. He's a white male. What are you, sexist? No. What are you, racist? No. Boom. Kelly Marie Tran is the new Wolverine. And that's how it's going to work over at Disney. And Scott Mendelson has already sussed that out. Thank you for watching. Tell me what you think of this video. Would Kelly Marie Tran make a good Wolverine? Leave me messages in the comments below. The answer, of course, is yes. Only correct answers accepted. Subscribe to this channel and check and make sure you're still subscribed. Please like, hit the thumbs up, share the video, and I will be back with another video pretty soon. Bye. Hey, you want to follow me on Twitter? Are you sure? Well, if so, I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. That's at Ethan Van Sciver. See you there. Hey, I got a P.O. box. Want to send me some mail? Send it to Ethan Van Sciver, P.O. Box 607, Marlton, New Jersey, 08053. And I'll probably open it up on the live stream. Thanks very much, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I am your uncle Ethan Van Sciver, world's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Good morning, everyone. Great big Star Wars fan and trusted member of the media. We're right here on Gizmodo IO9. What does IO9 stand for? It stands for garbage tier. As we take a minute, guys. Just find the center of the universe within yourself. Find the vast expanse that contains infinite possibilities right within your heart. Just take a minute, center yourself, and think about it. Think about all the things that you could do with Star Wars if you have absolutely no fucking clue where you're going from here, if you have no plan. Meet Kathleen Kennedy. This woman has just had her slate cleaned. That's because the Fandom Menace also had her clock cleaned. Here we have a kind of sad, patronizing article. The future of Star Wars movies? ? Yeah, do they have a future? Kathleen Kennedy explains the vast possibilities. Now, this article is very, very, very sad, and this article confirms a lot of things that we've already suspected based on, all of the nonsense, all of the fluff that we've had tossed our way about future possibilities. Let's read this and let's kind of see if we can orient ourselves to where we stand right now. What's next? It's the question on everyone's mind when it comes to Star Wars movies. After next month's The Rise of Skywalker, the next movie is technically scheduled for 2022. And yet we now know. And yet we have now been informed. Okay? The D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, who were supposed to be working on that trilogy, are gone now. They, interestingly enough, they kind of said, we got better things to do than Star Wars. Before it was all about how amazing Star Wars was, even though they did have some criticism for their predecessors, for the people at Disney who were working on the films. They said that we need to get back to storytelling with Star Wars. I guess they've given up. I guess they kind of gave up. It was, bridge too far. One of the very few people who would know about the next Star Wars movies is the president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and yet she doesn't. Funnily enough, though, in a new interview, she admits she doesn't know the answer to that question, but there's a very good reason for that, and that reason is her entire deck was cleared, obviously, and she's going to be out of here very soon. She says, "No, I haven't decided what's next." Kennedy said, speaking to Rolling Stone last month, "We got various things we're looking at and various ways in which we can begin or not. As you can imagine, do you go back? Do you go forward?
All of those questions are being asked. Do we stay in this galaxy? Do we go to another? The universe is never ending. Wait. All right, that was a good laugh. The good news and the bad news, they have endless possibilities. It's liberating. It's exciting. And it creates a lot of pressure and anxiety. Anxiety and tension. Nervous headaches as well. One thing is for sure. Okay, one thing is for sure. Whatever the next Star Wars movie is, it's as important a moment for the franchise as its return in the 2015 Force Awakens movie, The Force Awakens. At least with that story, there were a few breadcrumbs to follow, characters still around to destroy, actors to play them, and be angry because their characters that they've lived with their entire lives have been destroyed at the hands of Kathleen Kennedy. But for a new film, that's unlikely to be the case. It's a clean slate, not just for the story, but for the franchise as well. And it sounded like they had something, guys. I don't know if you followed any of this. It sounded like they had all this wrapped up. Certainly, they had DB. They had the DB Weiss and Benioff. Right? Did I get that right? Both of them sound like they hijacked an airplane in 1982. DB Weiss and David Benioff. Doesn't sound. Oh, that's DB Cooper. And was it 1982 or was it like 1970? I don't remember. It's an incredible challenge, and it's something that we're in the middle of. And I can't even begin to tell you where this may end up, because I think you're absolutely right. I think whatever this next movie is and how it begins to define a new way forward is something we want to take plenty of time and plenty of conversation and careful thought before deciding exactly what we're going to do. You're not going to be here. You are going to be fired. Okay, you are going to be gone. You got your 3-year extension to clean out your desk. It took her 3 years to clean out her desk, but that's what this is. And the fact of the matter is, you're talking about a movie that's going to be coming out in 2022, and you haven't a clue. What do you mean, take your time? What do you mean, take your time with this movie? You don't have very much time. You've got a movie coming out like this. You've got a movie coming out in December, and then you want to get another movie coming out December of 2022, and then you want that to lead into a trilogy, presumably. You know, it just doesn't seem like it's something that's going to be well thought out at all. As previously mentioned, December 2022 movie on the schedule was going to be made by Weiss and Benioff of Game of Thrones fame, and then they completely bollocksed up Game of Thrones. They failed to stick the landing on Game of Thrones. Kathleen Kennedy sure can pick 'em, okay? However, they left the project last month. I heard they left in May, but they officially left last month. That leaves only The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige attached as people working on projects for Lucasfilm. Rian Johnson, I don't think he's going to... I mean, you know what? I go back and forth with this. I think, there's a possibility that maybe he is. Maybe this is part of some scary conspiracy. But I think the truth is right here. I think you're looking at Kevin Feige being brought in to clean house and to fix the mess that Kathleen Kennedy made. We always have to clean up after these women. That's what we have to do as men. Kevin Feige, as people working on projects for Lucasfilm, and while Kennedy didn't comment on Johnson's films, though he said in many new interviews they're still on the table, she did talk about Feige. And here we go. This is reality right now. Kevin has been a huge fan of Star Wars, and he's made that pretty clear, Kennedy said. A little bit of venom here. He's made that pretty clear when he chases my job. And I think when he went off to do a couple of the Spider-Man movies, he realized that he could kind of step in and out of what he's doing, specifically with just Marvel. He talked to us, and he talked to the studio and said, is there any chance that I could step in and do one of the Star Wars movies? But dude, she is fuming over this. She's fuming over this. She's like, this guy just conquered the MCU, Disney's golden child, and he steps in and he wants a piece of my territory. He wants to come into my turf. And I thought it was a pretty cool idea. So we're just beginning to talk about what that might be and when that might be. It'll be when the remainder of your 3-year extension is up. It's a ways off. It's not that long off, honestly.
All right. I mean, this is going to happen. Sounds like whatever it is, it won't be next. And while the future of Star Wars movies is a bit up in the air, don't forget the franchise has a pretty clear future set up on the small screen. Mandalorian, that's what it's all about. It's going to be, it is going to be Star Wars on the small screen. The streaming service, if they can maintain the quality of the Mandalorian, this woman and all of her big screen dreams, they'll be a thing of the past. I just don't think that under this leadership, Star Wars is going to make it to the big screen successfully, and maybe that's for the best.
N3 Radio is a non-profit teaching platform for non-professionals. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, professional use tips the balance in favor of fair use.